This is my client Grady, and he torched 35 pounds of stubborn belly fat without setting foot in a gym. Here's how he did it.
Yeah, I would say growing up, we ate average food. We really didn't concentrate on nutrition at all. It wasn't really talked about in the household. I played a lot of sports when I was young. I played AAA hockey for 7 years. I excelled at most sports I played at without really having to try or work out or really put a lot of practice into it. And I never really concentrated on what I was eating, but I graduated high school, I was probably 140. I got married, I was probably 155, 160 pounds. But, the one thing I would say is, even though I was thin, I wouldn't say I was ever in shape. And I think that's the biggest difference. So, I didn't have a higher weight, but I wouldn't say I was ever in shape or physically feeling really good about myself. So I think over the years, I just started gradually adding on more weight as I started doing less. You get married, you have kids, and you just realize that, it starts to add up and you're traveling and you're eating on the road, and then you come home and you're having the bag of chips at night, and it just catches up to you because your metabolism slows down. So, it wasn't like an overnight thing for me, but it was very gradual and just kept on going. But I would say by the time I was 40, 45, then I was up pushing over 200 pounds, and you just realized that it was just going to keep on going. It wasn't going to stop. I graduated from high school. I really didn't have a game plan. I did a little bit of college. I got into some side jobs here and there and really kind of figured out what I wanted to do. It was actually coaching hockey. One of the parents approached me and said, you'd be really good at sales. And so eventually I did go and work for him, and I worked my way up in that company. And now it's been 25, 30 years of being in sales and loved it, never looked back. So, there's a lot of meals on the road continuing and, eating in your car. So, there's never really been a focus on, challenging myself as to what I was eating. And so there was a lot of years there of just eating fast food in the car, going to restaurants while you're out of town, before you go back to your hotel for the night. So, it was just a lot of car time, and just there was no more exercise. There was no more, once I stopped coaching for a couple of years there, I had a couple of years off. I think that's when it really started to add on. So, you weren't on the ice 3 times a week anymore, and you're in the car and you're eating fast food and you're at a restaurant and you're eating at restaurants, and then you start with the desserts and everything else, right? So I think that was a big part of the process when I started to gain weight. I tried to lose weight probably 4 or 5 times in the last 15 years, and I've done, just not eating as much, trying to starve yourself. I did the shakes. 2 shakes a day, 1 meal. You did fasting. I tried all these things, and it's funny that my wife works out and she tracks her calories and her protein. So I had someone in the house doing it, and I just never really looked at it like I could do it or that would work for me. I think for me, it wasn't one moment. I think a lot of people, refer to one thing that really struck them. And for me, it was a combination of a lot of different moments. It's little things like you start buying bigger sizes, and you just keep doing that every time you go to the store. It's the next size up. It's the next size up. You start to notice you're losing your energy a little bit when you're out with the kids and you're playing with them. So you start to see little signs of things, but you just chalk it up to you're getting older. And, everyone gets like this. Everyone lets himself go a little bit. And it's amazing what you can do in your own mind, what you can justify when you really want to. So you just talk yourself into these things. And then you realize, as you keep on going, you hit like 35, 40 years old, you start getting up to 200 pounds. And, you start looking at bigger sizes. You never looked at an XL before for the first time in your life, and you're buying XL. And, you just realize that you got to start making some changes when you're not wearing your wedding band because it doesn't fit anymore. And, you just notice all these things about you that are changing, and you always have the answers, or you justify, like I said. So you just need to come to a decision. And I think for me, it was more of a health thing when I went to the doctor and did some blood work. And for the first time, we had that talk about pre-diabetic and some of these things were out of range, and I've never heard that before. So I think that was probably the biggest one for me, is to come home and say, okay, like, enough's enough. You got to make some changes. And, you can give up a little bit of time now to gain a lot more time at the end. And I had a friend of mine that was in Coach Rob's program. And I think, the biggest thing for knowing someone that was in the program. So for me, when I looked, in the past at doing things, and you look online and you see these guys in the before and after pictures, how did that guy really look beforehand? And, was he, a bodybuilder? Did he have lots of muscle and he'd put on some weight and then he just kind of took off that weight and he's back again? So you can justify anything you want because you don't really know these people, right? So you're doubting that it's real. So I think in this case, knowing someone in the program and knowing what he looked like and what he was looking like now and how much better he felt was kind of took away that last excuse that I had. That it's not fake, it's not phony, it's just putting in the hard work. I've been in the program for 7 months and I've lost 35 pounds. Probably the first time I really noticed a change and felt the confidence kick in was back the end of February, beginning of March. My wife and I went on a cruise. And I continued with the program while on the cruise, which was something I was really proud of, and went to the gym every morning. And again, was something I was able to do with my wife. But I think the biggest difference I noticed was they had an outdoor walking track that kind of, went around the ship and around the pool. And I walked around, without my shirt on. It was hot. And probably 2 years ago, probably wouldn't have been on the track in the first place. And I think, I'm most happy with the fat that I've lost in my stomach, starting to build up muscle in my arms and my chest. The first trip back to the doctor was 2 months into the program, and the doctor was blown away by my numbers and how they've come down considerably. And I'm not just in the range now, I'm actually in the low end of the range. So he was incredibly impressed with how fast that had changed. So, if you need anything more than motivation, then, having a doctor impressed with what you've done and when he talks about how many years you potentially added to your life by doing this. And, I just buckled down for a couple months at that point. So I knew that, a year into the program, there was just going to be better things to come. So, I'm really happy with, my change physically, but sleep-wise is something I've always struggled with. And my sleep has been better than it's ever been in 25 years since I started this program. I think just losing that weight, I think the mental aspect of putting your body through some things throughout the day, getting yourself in a little bit of a routine and a schedule, it all just helps so much, and it's made such a big difference. I think this process has actually really helped. My kids have been amazingly supportive in this process. They're really proud of me and they're always asking for updates. So it feels good to get that from them. The workouts are broken down for you. So they're easy to follow. There's videos, there's pictures. So it was not something where I had to do it on my own. It's not something I had to come up with. So just following, a step-by-step program was really easy to do. So as intimidated as I was day one, by the end of it, I realized that this was easy. I kicked my ass and I was hurting, but I realized that following the process was easy. And then when it comes to the food, it's been amazing. It's, grocery shopping and going to Costco, and you quickly realize that you're going to aisles you've never been before. You're looking at things you never would have looked at before. And, you're buying chicken burritos and these things, but you're looking at the back and you're seeing what the calories are, and you're coming home and you're eating them and they're really good. And before I would have walked right by those, never thought twice about it because you were going for the good stuff, so to speak, right? So the food aspect has probably really opened up what I eat and what I shop for now, which has been enjoyable. And, the community aspect has been great because the support is there from all the guys in the group. But they're always posting ideas of recipes or things they find at stores. And there's been numerous things that someone has posted that I've gone out and bought, and now it's a staple and part of my everyday diet. So, that really helps because you can't do it all on your own. So having the support is one thing that's great, but just having the feedback and having them throw ideas at you really helps expand, your capabilities and what you're going to eat and what you're going to do. And it's made a big difference in the program. I think I'd recommend the program to anyone that's not 100% happy with themselves. And it's about eating, it's about physical workouts, it's about the brotherhood and having that support in that group. You're surrounded by a bunch of guys that are going through everything you're going through. They all have jobs, most of them have family, most of them have kids. So, you can talk to them and message with them all the time. And you can always find someone that can relate to you and can understand what you're going through and throw some advice there. And now 7 months into it, I'm giving some advice to other people for the first time. So it feels really good to do that and to be able to help out others now. But I think, people just got to stop making excuses that they can't do something. It's just a matter of making the decision for yourself and getting it done.